These are live pictures that we're getting for you from outside the Supreme Court. Remember, there's been a huge controversy over land assets that, in fact, led to the arrest of Subrata Roy, the head of Sahara Group. He, in fact, is there at the Supreme Court. He's going to be produced in court today. You can see there a flurry of activity outside the Supreme Court with the Sahara chief just arriving there in the Supreme Court. Now, just to recap this entire controversy for you, after a lot of attempts to get Sahara to refund close to 20 crore rupees to small investors, the court had asked Sahara to deposit those documents there of land assets, which it then asked SEBI to sell and, in fact, make those refunds. When it defaulted on those payments, in fact, that led to the arrest of the Sahara chief. Well, we have Shweta Rajpal Kohli with us. She's been outside the Supreme Court. Shweta, just take us through those pictures. We can see Subrata Roy there arriving outside the Supreme Court.
That's right, and as we speak, Barney, we can see a man being dragged out by the police, and of course, a huge media presence there. He apparently is the person who threw ink at Subrata Roy, and as we speak, cameras are following the police who's trying to drag that person out of the Supreme Court premises. Subrata Roy, of course, as you see in those pictures, has just entered the Supreme Court. High drama there taking place here at the court as well, with tremendous media presence, cameras first chasing the arrival of Subrata Roy, and now, of course, chasing the police, taking away the man who threw ink at the Sahara promoter. Bani?
Right, Shweta, just for the benefit of our viewers, just recap this entire case for us that led to the arrest of the Sahara chief. Today he's being produced in the Supreme Court here.
That's right. The top court, of course, ordering the arrest under a non-bailable warrant for Sahara promoter Subrata Roy, who now has finally been produced before the Supreme Court. We, of course, know that his inability to appear before the Supreme Court last week led to the top court saying that he needs to be arrested under a non-bailable warrant. The Supreme Court clearly quite tired of the fact that the Sahara chief had been dodging the entire issue of refunding the 24,000 crores that Sahara owes to its small investors. Sahara, on its part, claims that it has already deposited 5,000 crores and it does not owe any more money to the small investors. But this is a court that has been dragged. This is a case that has been dragging on. It's a legal tussle between SEBI and Sahara that has been dragging on now for many years, with the Supreme Court now clearly losing patience with the Sahara chief and ordering his arrest under a non-bailable warrant last week after he failed to show up. On his part, the Sahara promoter had said that his mother, who is ailing and in critical condition, requires him to be by her side, which is why he was unable to reach court. But we know after that immense drama, his arrest had finally taken place in Lucknow. Now Subrata Roy finally appearing before the Supreme Court as per the scheduled date and times, which is today at 2 p.m.
All right, Shweta, and you were just saying that there was high drama outside the Supreme Court when he did arrive there. Somebody actually went through ink at his face. So what can you tell us about that?
That's right, Barney. We just saw this entire incident happen where someone threw ink at Subrata Roy, and that person just being dragged out of the Supreme Court premises by the police. Heavy presence here while someone who was taken away. We just saw those visuals of the cameras chasing that man who has been taken away by the police from the Supreme Court premises, even as he threw ink at him after Subrata Roy arrived here at the Supreme Court premises.
And do we know who that person was, Shweta, who threw that ink at Subrata Roy?
No, Barney, we're still awaiting details as we are still trying to ourselves gather more information of what exactly happened here and who was that person. But he has been taken out of the Supreme Court premises right now.
And what can we expect in court today, Shweta? You know that this is a very high-profile hearing, really. What can we expect in court?
Well, Barney, as we know, this is an ongoing case where the Sahara chief needs to really explain to the judges why he's not been able to deposit the 24,000 crore rupees that it owes to the crores of small investors, 3 crore small investors to be precise. This is money that he owes after the schemes of Sahara have been declared illegal. These were financial schemes, 2 schemes that Sahara had floated, and these have been declared as illegal. And now, of course, given the fact that this money has not been deposited, we'll have to wait and see what the Sahara Council has to say, why they have not been able to deposit that money with the small investors, with SEBI to be refunded to the small investors. And the explanations, of course, on his part, the judges will question as the delay in doing so, given the fact that they had even said that Sahara's properties need to be sold if it's unable to refund that money, clearly coming down quite heavily on Sahara.
Right, and another interesting point there, Shweta, Subrata Roy was actually driven down from Lucknow to Delhi last night in a Mercedes. Is that correct?
That's right. That's the details we are picking up from our sources, and clearly many questioning the VIP treatment being given to Subrata Roy. We also know the kind of delay that happened in his arrest and the fact that he was allowed to be in his house for so long. He kept the judges in Lucknow also waiting for over 3 to 4 hours, leading to the judges. They're clearly saying that this is unacceptable and pulling up the cops as well as lawyers. So many people now questioning the so-called VIP treatment that is being meted out to Subrata Roy, but now, of course, he is appearing before the judges who've already come down quite heavily on him, saying that this is the Supreme Court of the land, the arms of the Supreme Court are very long, questioning why is it that he has not been able to appear before the top court before this.
Right, Shweta, and just to come back to that development that really took place outside the court as the Sahara chief Subrata Roy arrived there, ink was thrown at him. We are seeing those pictures. Just take us through those moments when ink was thrown at his face.
All right. In fact, those pictures that you can see on your screen there, the Bani, is the Sahara chief Subrata Roy, of course, get out by heavy police presence and the media, everyone taking his pictures, and then suddenly somebody threw ink at him, and that person has now been dragged out of the police premises. We are, of course, trying to get more details of who that person was, but that complete chaos and confusion that took place when he arrived, we will be sending you those shots also shortly as the police tried to drag away that person who threw ink at the Sahara chief, many calling it complete intense drama that is taking place as he arrived here at the Supreme Court, trying to enter the main premises of the Supreme Court. Somebody threw ink at him, and that person was then dragged out of the Supreme Court premises.
All right, Shweta, do stay with us. Let's just go across to Neha Khanna. Neha, give us details of that dramatic moment there outside the Supreme Court when Subrata Roy reached there for that hearing. Neha, can you hear me? Well, joining us now we have Neha Khanna. Neha, you're at the Supreme Court. Just take us through those moments when ink was thrown there at the Sahara chief when he came for that hearing. Just give us those details.
Bunny, I hope you can hear me. The phone signal is a little weak here.
Yes, Neha, go ahead. Yes,
this entire drama unfolded within the Supreme Court premises. It all happened within minutes. There was a tight security cordon in place for Sahara chief Subrata Roy, who was, of course, meant to come here to the Supreme Court for his appearance in an investor fraud case. There was tight security. He was being brought in a police cavalcade from a guest house where he had been kept. And the moment he came in fact, he had to be first taken to this area where a pass, an entry pass is made for anyone coming to the Supreme Court. He was, of course, accompanied by police officials. As he is in police custody, he was being taken to one of those counters where his entry pass could be made. Just then, a man who calls himself Manoj Sharma and claims is an advocate from Gwalior came out of nowhere and threw black ink at Subrata Subrata Roy. That ink fell on Subrata Roy as well as on a few cops around him. All of this, in fact, even as there was heavy media presence, and in fact the man even said, "Ye garibon ka chor hai," which is why he said he attacked him in the manner that he did. Immediately, the man was held by the cops around Subrata Roy. In fact, the lawyers gathered here also beat him up, and eventually, of course, he was taken away. That man is now in police custody. We're waiting to get more details, but what we do know is that he calls himself Manoj Sharma. He says he's an advocate from Gwalior, and he is upset with Subrata Roy. He says, calling him Garibon ka chor, that he said it was the reason why he attacked Subrata Roy with black ink. For now, of course, for security reasons, Subrata Roy has been taken away. He has been whisked away to another secure part within the Supreme Court premises, because around 2 this afternoon, that's about an hour from now, he has to make a crucial appearance before the bench that is hearing the case pertaining to investor fraud, in which, of course, his company Sahara is the main accused. It is, in fact, in connection with this case, as you know, Bani, that Sahara Chief Subrata Roy had been summoned by the Supreme Court. When he defied those summons of the Supreme Court, that's when a non-bailable arrest warrant was issued against him. He finally surrendered to the UP police on Friday. He's since then been in police custody. So an hour from now, he is expected to make an appearance before the bench hearing this case. But ahead of that, dramatic developments taking place here at the Supreme Court, within the Supreme Court premises. This may be unprecedented in some ways. We've seen these kind of incidents take place elsewhere, but perhaps not within the Supreme Court premises. But as I've been saying, Bani, very, very heavy police presence here. A strong media contingent also present here. A lot of lawyers milling around. There has been a lot of curiosity because everybody knew that Subrata Roy was going to come, and very, very dramatic developments taking place here just an hour before his crucial appearance before a Supreme Court bench hearing the investor fraud case that Subrata Roy and his company face.
And Neha, indeed, questions will be asked about that entire security issue, given how, as you've been saying, how tight the security really was at the Supreme Court, and really in court itself, such incidents really unprecedented.
Absolutely, considering that this is the Supreme Court of India, it's really the apex court. Security here is always very tight. There is never any sort of compromise. In fact, especially for Subrata Roy's arrival, there was a tight security cordon in place, several cops present here. They in fact came and first tried to clear the area where Subrata Roy was going to be brought, as I've been saying that he needed to be first taken to the counter where his entry pass was going to be made, and there was a lot of heavy media presence. A lot of TV cameras and journalists were waiting here to get a glimpse of Subrata Roy. The police actually first came and cleared this entire area, tried to send the media away, but towards the end, when Subrata Roy finally arrived, it seems as if all hell broke loose. The media contingent, TV cameras, journalists, all rushing towards Subrata Roy. Of course, there were a lot of cops around him, but then this man who calls himself Manoj Sharma, claims he's a lawyer from Gwalior, came suddenly out of nowhere and threw black ink at Subrata Roy.